All right, so stocks are higher after Fed member Waller says that he believes interest rates are high enough, and Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's right-hand man, dies at 99 years yesterday. We also have news from General Motors jumping up this morning 10%. We have news from gold. We have news from the interest rates. I mean, there's a lot going on that we need to talk about, and that's what we're going to do here. So, welcome to Coffee with Marcus and Mark, and today is Wednesday, November 29th. And in this show, we are going to talk to you about what's happening in the market and how we are trading it. And there's a lot happening. So, that's anyhow, if this is your first time here, I'm Markus Heitkoetter. This super smart guy over there is my head coach, Markus. And we're real traders who trade live accounts. So, therefore, we got a lot of trading experience, and we're showing you how we trade these crazy markets. So trust me, we know our stuff, and we're not afraid to tell you like it is. So if you're here looking for some honest insights into the fascinating world of trading, you are in the right place. And I mean, Mark, I think we have to start with the sad news first. Charlie Munger dies.
Yeah, that's a shame, but gosh, I know you have your sight on a few years beyond 100, but getting up to 99 is a feat. And so he achieved a lot and seemed like a pretty cool dude.
Yeah, and it's amazing. I mean, Warren Buffett and him, they have been friends for 60 years. And this is where, I mean, Warren Buffett talked about Charlie Munger and said, well, we think so much alike, it's spooky. That's what he said about him. And did you know that he would have turned 100 on New Year's Eve? Or New Year's Day, I think New Year's Day.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So, well,
Super
got
close.
close.
Well, we'll see. So, I mean, before we look at the markets, what do you think? How this will affect Warren Buffett? Because I want to tell you what I think. This is why I'm asking you. I think that this might be that Warren Buffett is now stepping down. That he says, you know what, I don't have Charlie anymore, and I mean they already hinted that Greg, can't remember his last name, will take the reins, and I think that over the next few months, maybe not right away, but over the next few months, we might see Warren Buffett stepping down. Might be wrong, but hey, that was my initial gut reaction where I thought, oh, if he doesn't have Charlie anymore, I mean, not that he can't do what he does without Charlie Munger, but I just think it would be sad or difficult. I don't know.
That's a good point. At some point you have to hand over the reins, and maybe there is that little extra incentive. So we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. Now, if you have any, the viewer here, if you have any thoughts, leave it in the comment. We're always interested in getting to know you and what you think. So, looking at the markets, the November rally looked like it's continuing today. But then, if you look at a 5 minute chart, a little bit, okay, opening higher, pulling back towards yesterday's close, and right now just stalling there.
Yeah, but a decent push higher, Marcus. I think you like the stall and you like the pulling back because, gosh, we just get further and further away from the stake zone.
Hey, I mean, I'm okay sending you stakes. If we want to rally, if the markets want to rally to 5,000, I'm okay with this. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I'm not the one holding up the market here, so I'm not. I'm not rooting for the market to go down. I'm rooting for the market to go up. But if it pulls back a little bit, I wouldn't mind some stakes. Yeah, but hey,
Sure.
keep going. I just think that it will be difficult for the market to sustain this pace. I mean, Nasdaq is up what 11% right now, more than 11% for November. S&P is up 9% for November. It just I don't think it's sustainable to just keep rallying into year end.
I, I mean, on one hand, I think that year-end rallies are nice when there isn't a whole lot of negative news and we're just kind of complacent in the market. But yeah, we had such a quick move higher. I would expect, I believe there's a potential for a pullback even if we are going to end the year strong. And instead, we're just up and away. And Yeah, made for some interesting moves in positions that we are in because I started to look at maybe selling calls.
Yeah,
We'll
so
get back to that though.
we can definitely look at that in a moment. But let's talk about the news that is driving the market right now. And honestly, I mean, let's first look at the news and then what else is happening. So this morning, the preliminary GDP was released and 5.2, more than expected.
So stronger than expected, stronger GDP versus the 5%. And we were talking about it after the session yesterday, Marcus. The GDP number comes out in three phases. So this would be the second, but that stronger growth is welcomed by the market.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Let me just jump back to the economic calendar. I think this is where we see it best. So, because I thought that preliminary GDP is the first reading, but it is the first reading is the advanced GDP, and this is what we saw last month. Is it? I think monthly being released. Not quite sure. So there's the advanced, there's the preliminary, and then there is the final GDP, and there's always a couple of weeks in between. Do you know exactly the time difference?
I don't know the separation. I don't recall off the top of my head, but uh, you have those three readings, and typically the first one is the most significant. Of course, there can be changes and adjustments along the way, but typically that advanced GDP is the one investors are eyeing most.
Yeah. And this, why is this significant? I mean, this is the gross domestic product. And since everybody was concerned about a recession, we see that the economy is still growing. And combine this with the remarks that we had yesterday from Fed member Waller, who said, well, I think that we are in the right place to bring down inflation, that we don't need to raise rates anymore. And this one will be interesting. The updated dot plot of the Fed that we will get in 14 days from today, 2 weeks.
And that will shed some light on what the Fed is potentially thinking about doing. There you have the probabilities up. And right now, we see that it's still a little bit mixed on what might take place at the March meeting, but investors do think that the Fed's ready to cut in May.
Yeah, but I think that everybody's also looking for this dot plot where the Fed basically says what they're planning to do, and the dot plot is being released quarterly. Is that right? I believe so.
Yes.
So
Yep.
quarterly, this is where the Fed members say, hey, what they think they're going to do going forward. And for this quarter, they predicted two more hikes. And that's not going to happen.
No, no, and I mean I think this is huge. This is a big positive because the probabilities investors we've talked about this, but since the Fed started raising rates, they were saying, "Hey, we're going to do what it takes," and traders felt like the Fed was maybe a little aggressive with their wording and not expecting the Fed to raise like they did. And here, traders have said the Fed is done, and we'll see if that dot plot shows that to be true.
Yeah. So we do have tomorrow the core PCE index being released. That will be important. And then also on Friday, we have Powell speaking. And I don't know, have you looked into it where he's speaking? If this is something that could move and shake the markets?
I could pull that up real quick. So Friday the 1st, it looks like it looks like he's speaking twice, but the first is he's participating in a fireside chat titled Navigating Pathways to Economic Mobility at Spelman College in Atlanta. And then in the afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern, he's participating in a roundtable at the same event. So
Hmm.
we'll see if he has any wise words for investors.
Yeah, because I think at this point, I mean, he is known for dampening a little bit the enthusiasm. And I don't want to say party pooper, but kind of like, okay, if the markets are reacting strong and everybody thinks Fed is done, then he brings down the hammer and says, no, you're all wrong.
Yeah.
Let me tell you
Wait,
what we
guys.
think.
Wait, guys. Don't get super excited.
Yeah. But hey, for now, this is what's going on. Gold also, this is super surprising for me to see gold moving at the highest level since I think May. Yeah, look at this. I brought up a weekly chart here. So in May, we were up at these levels. Before that, it was a year ago in April, so April 2022. So well, why is gold rallying right now? That doesn't make sense when stocks are rallying. I mean, gold is the flight to safety.
Sometimes the relationship with gold money in the markets is a little bit tricky because you're right. Gold can be viewed as a flight to safety and a hedge against inflation, but you also have the relationship of the strength with the US dollar. And so the US dollar peaked for the year back in early October, and that's where you see that drop there in gold. And now the US dollar is at lows that we haven't seen since August. So when the dollar is strong, usually gold is lower. When the dollar is weak, gold is higher.
Yeah. Well, this is all connected to the interest rates, right? I mean, interest
True.
rates after peaking above 5%. Um, wait, I was on a 5 minute chart. Here we go. So after peaking over 5%, the 10-year yield now dropped below 4.3. And this is something that we haven't seen since, I want to say, end of September, beginning of October.
September. Yep. Yeah, and so I mean, again, here's where if you just look at one side of the globe, you're not seeing the whole sphere. You're not seeing the whole picture. But when you look at gold alone and say, "Wow, gold's rallying," but yeah, with interest rates down, with the dollar down, yeah, you're seeing that pop.
Yeah.
But
So I
hey, I'll
want,
take this because this is good for equities.
yeah. So I wanted to bring up the dollar index since you said it. There's a weekly chart, and yeah,
Yeah,
the dollar has become weaker here against a basket of currencies. Anyhow, so let's take a look at our positions, shall we?
let's do it.
Let's do it and let's see of what's happening here. And first up, CSIQ and CSIQ. I mean, this morning came out of the gate swinging, pulling back a little bit, but still up 0.75%.
This again, I have mixed feelings about this because it was nice to see that jump because it was a big move early on, and I'm also welcoming this pullback because I really like this range in CSIQ. We've talked about doing a rescue, and for anybody that hasn't heard what a rescue is, it's where we're essentially adding more shares to bring down our cost basis. So you could call it dollar cost averaging, but in the context of the wheel, we do a rescue mission to bring down our cost basis so it's easier to sell calls when the stock eventually rallies. I like this range. I like support around 20. I would love to pick up some shares at 19. That was possible on the earnings reaction, not since then. And so I like the pullback, although I do also like the idea that investors are right now are saying, okay, maybe the sell off is done in solar.
Yeah. So we'll see. Nothing for us yet to do here. And then NEE. NEE also today started off strong. Now we're pulling back. And that's kind of connected to the S&P. I just want to bring up a 5 minute chart where now the S&P 500 is also pulling back. And this is where we see that this is exactly where our positions are in line with the overall market. The S&P 500 is up 0.15%. Here we are up 0.3%. So we'll see what happens here for the remainder of the day. But we talked about it. The trend line is intact. We're liking this.
Sure.
So break above 62, and then we can start looking into selling calls.
Yes, that's
Speaking
the
about
goal.
selling calls, PNC, super strong day today, 2%. And this is where your break even. No, let's talk about it because my cost basis is at 141.50, my break even at 136. It's different for you, right?
It is. And I had realized when I mentioned my break even before, I had not added the dividend that was payable in November. So my break even on this is 127.80 and my cost basis is 136. So right
Woo!
now I'm making money on PNC. It's a profitable trade. And I was looking at where those calls were to potentially sell. 135 got close. 134 is there. 136 right now is out of the question. But I'm keeping an eye on this one. I like this break here. This is what I was expecting. Now I really want to see this run up towards 136. I think that in the next couple of weeks I will be selling calls and having a lot of fun with PNC.
Hey, I mean, honestly, a good PCE report tomorrow might actually push you into call selling territory here. I mean, you're pretty much almost there. You can sell calls above your break even, slightly below your cost basis, but at this point, you're looking to sell at your cost basis, right?
Exactly, and that was the thing. I was, you're rolling the dice a little bit with a report like PCE because if you sell the 135 and then PCE drops, you're going to be glad that you brought your break even down a little. But then if we get a nice rally on PCE, all of a sudden you're selling calls at 136 or maybe higher, right? So I was on the fence with those 135s when we got to the highs of the day, but you know what? Follow the plan.
Hey, and the day's not over yet. So, I mean, PNC has been shown a strong performance, especially considering that right now the S&P is still pulling back and PNC is just hanging in there. If we look at a 5-minute chart of PNC, I mean,
Yeah,
just hanging out there at session highs. So, yeah, we'll see. Hey, I'm rooting for you and I'll be right behind you.
I like it. I like it.
All right. So UPS, we have kind of roles reversed because
Yep.
this is where, for me, my cost base is at 157.50, my break even at 152.14. So we are right now trading at around my break even. Here, for you, it is the other way around, and it's a little bit higher.
It is. It is. And so we do have that buck 62 dividend payable on the 30th, and my break even on this one. Um, oops, I'm just
What is the
double
symbol?
checking.
Oops, UPS.
All right, where did that guy go? Anyway, I think my break even's around 162. I need to go to my trading log and check that out.
Yeah. All
Um,
right. So this is where I might be in a position, maybe next week, to sell calls against my cost basis here, and I'm only interested in selling calls against my cost basis, and I want to do this. I want to see if I can ride it a little bit higher and
yeah,
be there in this trade with you. But I also see that we do have some resistance at 157.50. So my first go-to would be selling calls at 157.50, and then if we break through, I'll see if I can roll them out and maybe up and keep having some fun with UPS here. We'll see.
I like that plan. Interesting though, very like you said, roles reverse between PNC and UPS.
Isn't it? All right, and then we have XOM. That's the trade that I'm in. You did not get into the trade because you were looking at a lower strike price. Hey, it's still available today. Do you want to take it today? But it's 102. You were looking at the 101.
Yeah, I think XOM's still decent, but you know, I like the 101 better.
Okay, so still not the 102. I mean, you're getting 44%. I got 49% annualized. I got $70. You would get $37 probably. Maybe if it was pulling a little bit lower, $40. No, going once,
No,
going twice. No.
yeah, I'll hold out.
Hey,
I'll hold out.
how's
I mean,
Oxy doing today?
the 59 was available again, but not the. Not the 58. I like the idea of being a little bit lower there.
Yeah. All right. We'll see. Well, a super interesting day in the markets. If you look at the S&P right now, trying to close the gap. I mean, after opening higher right now, pulling back. So, what do you think will happen for the remainder of the day? Also, looking at the daily chart and seeing that this rally. I mean, at first, if I'm zooming in here a little bit, it seems that it was stalling right here, but now it seemed to continue. So, what do you think? Will we just run into more resistance right around here at 4560, or can we break through?
Right now it kind of feels like the morning has set the tone for the day. And I think that that's going to be the case for the rest of the day, where we finish positive, but we are just kind of lackluster and, maybe near these lows, but not getting back up towards session highs.
Well, I agree, because I think at this point everybody's waiting for the PCE price index
Yep.
tomorrow, because that is the Fed's favorite inflation gauge. And I think this is where traders want to see, okay, are we making progress, as Fed member Waller said yesterday? So is the PCE price index coming in at zero point 0.2 as expected, or maybe even lower, so that we know kind of for sure that the Fed is done raising rates? And then it's more a question, when will they start lowering rates? But I mean, we're moving away from a discussion of, okay, raising rates, raising rates, raising rates. So right now we are more moving into a discussion, and I think this will be the focus tomorrow and then also on Friday with Powell speaking, is, okay, if they're done right now, when do they start lowering rates?
Sure. Sure. Yeah, that's definitely the focus and next step. But yeah, with that said, I think we'll be positive, but not a whole lot of excitement for the rest of the day.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. I think that we might even end slightly negative, because there is this uncertainty right now. But hey, talking about uncertainty, the VIX has been going up a little bit today, but still trading below 13. Super low levels here.
Absolutely. Not much fear in the market.
Yeah, but we see that it is going up, so there is a little bit more uncertainty of what's happening tomorrow. And I think this will be the big report.
Love to see a little movement.
All right.
Either way, to get a new position or to help out those calls.
Right, exactly. So I don't know. What do you guys think is going to happen? And did you enjoy the show today? Because if you did, do us a favor and give us a like. If you feel that others can benefit from the show, click on share. There's a share button right below there. Share it with whoever you feel might benefit from the show. And if this is your first time here, welcome. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, click on subscribe, hit the little notification bell. Ooh, that went better today. The little notification bell, because this way you'll get a notification whenever we go live, which will be again tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 11 o'clock, no, 10 o'clock Central Time, 11 o'clock Eastern Time. And until then, have a great rest of your day.
Happy trading, everybody.